Hi everybody, and welcome to the May 2013 edition of the Haunted Earth Show, and presented to you by your host Chris Halton. And as many of you know, I invariably start each month's broadcast off by a whinge about the weather, and in particular the British weather. For most of the time it's either cloud covered, raining, foggy, wet or frozen. So coming into the month of May, there was a lot of expectation and hope that May might well turn around from the previously bad months that we've had to suffer with. And indeed, to start off with, our very first investigation at a most remarkable village, and there are one or two points I want to cover with you at the end of this special edition broadcast. And have a look, and I will speak to you again at the end. At the moment, we're standing inside the new church of Ayot St Lawrence, which was built between the years 1778 to 1779 and designed by Nicholas Revitt for the local squire, a man by the name of Sir Lionel Lyde. In order to build the new church, he had to partially demolish the old church, which sits on the other side of the village, causing so much damage that the church was beyond any form of economic repair, and without the permission of the Church of England, he erected this fantastic Greek revivalist church. In death, he did not want to be placed next to his wife's body, and so what he agreed with the architect when they designed the church was to have two separate tombs at either wing of the church building. So today, at one extreme, we have the remains of Sir Lionel, and at the further extreme on the other side of the church, the remains of his wife. I'm standing outside the former home of George Bernard Shaw, the famous playwright, author and society wit. George Bernard Shaw moved into this house at Shaw's Corner in the village of Ayot St Lawrence in 1906. As many of you would know, he had extremely left-wing political views. At the age of 30, he declared that he had no belief in religion or God, and yet he died here in the year of 1950 at the age of 94. Shortly after Shaw died, his housekeeper, Mrs. Alice Leyden, was clearing out the cupboards in the kitchen when she heard a knock at the door. Without thinking, she automatically said, "Please come in, Mr. Shaw." To her surprise, the door opened and there stood George Bernard Shaw, looking just as though he was still alive. The figure said, "I heard a noise and thought you may have had an accident." Mrs. Leyden was about to reply when she realised there was no longer anyone there. A few days later, George paid another visit to Mrs. Leyden. This time she heard his footsteps on the landing while she was standing at the bottom of the stairs, and she heard him call, "Are you there, Mrs. Leyden?" After that, the footsteps died away. Unfortunately, we have no further accounts of any possible hauntings here because the property was shortly taken over by the National Trust, who don't permit paranormal investigations. And as the house is closed, we're on a Tuesday here, I'm unable to verify any of these accounts. But I'm fairly sure that Shaw's former house is positively haunted by him. I'm standing in one of the leafy lanes that surrounds Ayot St Lawrence, and in fact my next story concerns a very famous person, a man by the name of Thomas Edward Lawrence, or T.E. Lawrence, more famously known as Lawrence of Arabia. He was a friend of George Bernard Shaw and his wife Constance, and he used to ride frequently to their house here, or alternatively they used to visit him at his home in Dorset. His machine was a Brough Superior SS 100 motorcycle, which he nicknamed George VII. In 1935, he died riding that motorcycle in Dorset, trying to avoid contact with two boys riding across the front of him on cycles. And it's said that since that date, his motorcycle has been heard around these roads, leading around the village, and particularly so outside Shaw's Corner. We're standing outside the Brocket Arms in the village of Ayot St Lawrence, and this also has an interesting paranormal story to tell. This is the part of the Brocket Arms which is reputedly haunted by a monk or a priest who, after the reformation of the Catholic Church in England, was found guilty of some alleged crime and was hung from one of the beams here. This building was originally constructed in 1378 and provided quarters, monastic quarters as it were, for priests using the nearby Norman church, which sadly today lies in ruins. Quite apart from the monk who haunts the pub, allegedly people have heard footsteps and they've heard the sound of children. And apparently, more recently, activity appears to be on the increase in the rented accommodation area of the building, which is upstairs. There is certainly an atmosphere in this building, and just wandering around you can feel, shall we say, a sense of history that's attached to this place. And I have no doubt in my mind that under the right conditions on a quiet night, this could provide quite a lot of activity for those who are seriously interested in the paranormal. And for our next visit, we're going across the road to the remains of the original Norman church. I'm actually inside the remains of the old church at Ayot St Lawrence, and there is a kind of rustic beauty about this particular churchyard. You have the cemetery laid out with tombs and graves, and it has a pervasive atmosphere of spirituality. I can feel this now. The church was built around the 13th century, and this was the one that was destroyed in order to build the new church which we visited earlier today. And yet my overall feeling of this building is tinged with quite a bit of sadness that I can actually feel, and it's certainly haunted. People have seen light forms flashing in and out of the churchyard and strange light anomalies on photographs. What we're hoping to do later tonight is to come back here just as it turned dark and be able to touch base, as it were, with the spiritual presences that pervade in this churchyard. I've spoken to a number of local people, and they assure me that this is a particularly haunted place. And yet, funny enough, when we were in the new church, it seemed to have a kind of benign and neutral atmosphere to it. And yet this place is alive with the spiritual presences that have lived here for over 800 years. The ambience here on the spiritual level is very, very positive, and I'm really looking forward to any type of activity that we're able to detect tonight. And in the meantime, before then, I'm going for a wander around this beautiful remains and to give you some kind of feeling and flavour of this particular location. And this also has an interesting paranormal story to tell. turned dusk, we returned to the ruins of the old church in Ayot St Lawrence. And we're going to spend a little while here wandering around. There will be myself and Sean here on the camera and Tim on the other camcorder. So hopefully between us, plus myself with a handheld, we might be able to pick up some type of activity. We'll crack on.
Chris. When I was around the other side of the wall, it smelled like TCP, really strong.
Yeah.
So that's why I've come in here. And after you've just asked about anybody about, I could smell it again, really strong. Right beside me.
There is a bit of an odd odour in here, I must admit.
It smells like TCP or something like that.
Anything, Sean?
No. Not that I've seen anyway.
It's actually very quiet here, apart from the odd interruption. Any friendly spirits of this church, of this ruin, we come here, love, light and peace. We wish to make friendly and peaceful contact. Could you give us a sign, please?
It smells back as soon as you ask it. It's back.
Yeah, I've just got it. There's a strange smell of PCP, which is, for those who may not know, it's a disinfecting fluid, and it's quite a pronounced smell, isn't it? Distinct smell.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's just floating around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. If that was you who gave us that smell, could you tell us who you are, please? That voice is someone calling their pet dog. Okay, just come back. Thank you. But too, I'm picking up here the smell and the imagery. I'm picking up a lady, and I'm seeing her in a kind of what light-coloured dressing gown or shroud even. but she's not young. She's probably maybe in her early 60s.
I'm wondering if that's what I call that white mist going through there.
Down again. Back again.
See, every time we start talking about her...
TCP.
TCPs.
Disinfectant.
And that is not a plant.
That's a hospital disinfectant.
Hospital, yeah.
We keep smelling TCP here. Yeah? Oh, it may not be. There's some odd things going on here, isn't there?
Mm.
It's not unpleasant, but it is, it is quite haunted. Could you tell me your name, please? This lady that I can feel here. I'm getting something like Marjorie. I don't know if that's right. I really don't know. Marjorie.
Not my mum, is it?
It's a name that just comes into my mind.
My mum's name.
Your mum's name?
Yeah.
I didn't know your mum's name was Marjorie.
And now I'm thinking about it, is it...
But why here? Why not where you live? No, I don't feel a connection with you.
TCP again.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
If you're Sean's mother, Marjorie, could you make that smell appear again, please, now? I don't think it is your mother.
I think I'd have known if it was.
No, you would have felt it.
Oh, yeah, I would have done. Because I'm not feeling nothing, I'm just smelling it.
It's just hospital fluid.
Mm. It's just a bit of coincidence when you like that smell, because of what happened to my mum, and then you said her name.
Yeah, I mean, well, Marjorie is a fairly common name, isn't it? Operation.
Yeah. Yeah, it. Back again.
Yeah, it's hit me now.
As soon as we keep talking about it, she's...
Did you die in hospital during an operation, Marjorie? If so, could she make that smell come back? Because it appears to be her only way of communicating. No, I'm not smelling it now.
No.
Did you die in an accident? Well, this is the burial area. There's the two churches, this one the ruin and the Georgian church, and this is the one they continue to bury people in, so she's got to be here. Marjorie, could you...
Yeah, smell again.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. She anticipated what I was going to ask. This is very strange, isn't it? Marjorie, could you make a noise? Could you kick one of the stones or rattle that metal grill over the tower? Could you do something to indicate, other than smell, your physical presence with us, or in spirit?
I can smell her again.
Yeah, I can't overhear just yet. It's funny you mention that, because I can feel a lot of pain.
Oh, I can hear movement now. Coming from over there, but it could be it could be anything. Could be an animal.
Yeah, it could be a
Could be a
bird.
pigeon up there.
Could be someone, an animal frightened of that lady screaming.
I've got it. There's a pigeon up there.
Okay. Oh, it's just come back again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
TCP.
can't smell it from here.
Yeah.
So she's going in between both of us, isn't
she? It's a funny smell, isn't it?
But you never forget it, do you? Something like when you're at school.
Tim's not smelled it.
I'm not smart, I'm videoing you both.
Okay, mate. That smell is definitely paranormal. Unless there's a TCP factory nearby. I'm picking up a very feeble lady, you know, weak.
Yeah.
And I've got that, you know, that horrible hospital feel. It's got that taint to it.
I'm not sure if I can smell that TCP again.
Marjorie, could you come back? Could you give my friend Tim a taste of that smell? Could he smell it? That's the one who hasn't expressed.
Oh. No, but it was with wonderful lights, that's just you.
No smell.
You shined it. Oh, it's gone there.
Okay, we've been here for around an hour, so we've got 3 camcorders to go through. It would appear that there's been a presence active of a female, I believe her name was Marjorie, and the image that I had of her was a lady in her early 60s, very frail, dressed in hospital clothing or with some kind of a shroud. But I could feel this sickness, this pain, this weariness about her. But on a few occasions, both Sean and myself experienced the phenomena of smelling what to us appear to be TCP or some kind of hospital disinfectant. Obviously we don't know what we've got on our camcorders. There might be EVP there or a message for us from her for us to follow up on. But on the other hand, there may not be nothing there at all. It's certainly a bit noisy here. It's a very quiet village, but every so often, maybe every 10 or 15 minutes, a jet aircraft will fly over or somebody will make a noise from the street. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with what we've actually done tonight. I'm very pleased that we've been able to come to the old church at Ayot St Lawrence. And if anybody from this village is watching, it is an absolutely wonderful village and there's lovely people here, and we thank you very much. And so from me now, I'm going to call it a day, and from Tim, good night.
Good night, folks.
And Sean, he's around the corner.
Good night.
But thanks very much. Now, wasn't that remarkable? First of all, the points I want to cover. George Bernard Shaw, perhaps one of the greatest hypocrites of British society, a man that professed that he had no belief in God, no belief in religion, and certainly no belief in the afterlife. And so I often wondered, as an experiment, what would happen to a total skeptic if, should they wake up one day, and I use wake up with inverted commas, and discover that they are actually in spirit.
or in his case, he clearly did not believe that he was actually passed over and was still very much attached to the house, because on 2 occasions over a few days he had the opportunity, shall we say, of conversing with his former housekeeper. Now, I'm fairly convinced that George Shaw is still probably wandering around inside that house, completely and blissfully unaware that he's passed over, but not really being able to understand why perhaps he keeps bumping into people that he knew previously in life that left him before he died, and of course the fact that nobody would actually see him or recognize him. But however, I really do believe that he is still very much there, and of course the opportunities of investigating Shaw's Corner are probably better odds of becoming a pope, because the National Trust does not allow investigations, well certainly to my knowledge, of their properties for paranormal. I can recall some years ago, and it's probably no reflection on the management of the National Trust today, but somebody inquired about investigating one of their properties and was told quite bluntly that they do not allow sorcery and black magic to be practiced in their properties. Now obviously the person who made that statement was probably a religious zealot of some description. As a paranormal investigator, I've met a lot of decent Christian people and also Muslim people and other religions that have a total and complete belief in the world of the paranormal. But there are still some, of course, who still walk the earth in the belief that we're living in the times of the 13th century and that the devil, a cloven-hoofed monster, walks across the face of the earth, causing corruption and misery wherever he goes. And of course disregarding the fact that organised religions themselves are probably key to a lot of the terrible events which happen in the world. Anyway, moving on from there to point 2, and that was the anomaly that entered my hand. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. That anomaly I've seen on previous investigations, and I believe on 1 or 2 occasions in my own home, and there it was coming out of the trees, descending straight into my hand and disappearing. I felt absolutely nothing, and I was completely and utterly unaware that it was there, but nevertheless it was. Do I feel any different since? Perhaps not so. It certainly doesn't, on the surface at least, appear to have affected me to any particular degree. But that was certainly very, very interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed my investigation in Ayot St Lawrence. It is an absolutely wonderful, beautiful place to be, and of course that is also reflected in the house prices, where you can be expected to pay a minimum of £750,000 sterling for what is basically a 3-bedroom, 7-detached property, which is half of one house. So that's a lot of money. But having said that, I can understand why people have the desire to live there, because it seems to tick the boxes of what most people want from a rural idyll like that particular village is. And you'll also notice that in my work, and even now perhaps a greater emphasis whenever I do these special investigations, is to try and avoid touching anything to do with modern life in the shape of people dressed in, should we say, more contemporary clothing and modern cars on the road. And I was able virtually to escape those on that particular video, bar the landlord of the pub, who was caught in one shot, and 2 parked vehicles who just caught briefly as I was leaving the pub. But other than that, I seem to have got away with it, and I'm hopeful that for my next show I'll be able to do that. This month's broadcast is, from my point of view, going to be very brief from me. We don't have a lot of space. There's a lot of video to share this month, and in fact I even have quite a bit of video left over to share next month on other visits and investigations. But we're moving on now to the second video, which was basically as a result of a call to investigate a pub in Gosfield in Essex that appears to be troubled by poltergeist activity. And have a look at the video, and I'll speak to you again at the end.
So what happened here then, Graham?
It was the girl and the gentleman finished a meal, and he came through for a drink because Dean invited them through, and everybody at the bar had a bad atmosphere about them and didn't particularly like them that well. And then when the girl started speaking, the mirror from here had 2 wires obviously hanging down.
So what you're saying is, because the presence of these people,
I think it was a girl, I think it was a presence from the girl because she had
they
blonde hair.
create a negativity, and you saw this picture just lift off.
Because I was pouring a drink at the time and everybody else was chatting, and the mirror just went boom, and there was a chair about here,
Yeah.
and it just went boom, it fell right down and didn't smash at all.
So it just literally came off these hooks. And was the cord broken at all?
No, but there was like a strong wire, it was like copper.
And the wire was still there?
Aye, so it just went boom,
Straight down to the bottom.
hit the floor, it didn't smash, and the only person that never got a fright was the girl with the blonde hair.
And that was the one who...
That everybody had a bad, like, negative attitude about.
So everybody felt negative about her, and you think that the spirit of this pub obviously reflected that opinion by showing his displeasure by lifting this picture and dropping it.
I think there was something there because the only person that never got a fright was the person that had the negative attitude around her, and she never got a fright. So I think there was obviously something trying to tell us about her, and then. Another thing was like the glass got flung across the room. You still got proof of the glass because the glass is like smashed around the bottom. But the glass was flung on head first, but it was the bottom of the glass that was smashed.
So and that came off the off the shelf,
Yeah.
and it flung itself across.
Yeah.
Could you show us where that was?
It was just where
Yeah.
Dean's standing just now.
Where Dean's standing. So the glass came off there and then came straight across.
Yeah.
No, walk into the other bar, I'll show you exactly where.
Oh right, okay,
sorry.
we're going to the other bar.
Okay, it's in the top shelf. Those glasses have been up there for years.
Yeah.
If you look at the top of them, they've got dust on them.
Yeah.
They're not going to slide off unless you push them, and they're still not going to slide off. Yeah? This picture that we've been demonstrating to everybody for so many months about how we think this young lady was in this premises
Yeah.
was here. The glass came off of here
Uh-huh.
and came across to here and smashed on the picture.
Actually smashed on so the glass flung itself at the picture.
Yeah.
Is that the glass over there? There's a broken one there.
It's not the glass.
All right, and this is the glass itself.
Broke on that picture
So,
from here.
and so the picture's on the ground, and it
There's
just
the
hit
glass.
this.
Now, there's no way,
Just get that on there so you got it.
there isn't any way this glass would have slipped off.
No, it would have to be physically picked up and taken across, and then straight down.
There's dust on the glass, it's been
Yeah.
there for years.
Yeah, yeah. Until you just
Now-
touched it, there wasn't a finger mark on it.
We had 4 people standing here that were clients on that day,
Yeah.
paying for their food. They all saw it happen, come off there and hit that picture.
I bet that added something to the conversation at lunchtime.
Yeah, they paid for their meal and left. Really quick.
Really? That's incredible.
Mind you,
Okay, we're on the first floor. So you've got lights here, guys.
You have.
Right.
You'd be better to leave them off.
No, I'll work better with the light. Whoa.
Be careful to step.
Oh. God, this is.
Be careful of that little room.
I need a light. Is there a light here as well?
so,
Oh, I tell you what I'm feeling now. I really want to. I really feel like I want to kick the. Excuse my French. I want to kick the crap out of people.
he brought me up here yesterday. I said, as soon as we walked in there, I felt it. Got in here, I thought, it's stronger. I walked straight in here, went, it's happening in here.
It's in the whole
right
room.
near, yeah.
It seems when you get right this close to the toilet, it feels stronger, but it's around the whole room. I mean, if we go in here, yeah, it's here. It's like there's an energy. It's just spread right out. You see, you know when people take pictures and they get millions of orbs in a photograph, and they think, oh, there's about 20 or 30 ghosts there. There's not. It's an expanding consciousness. It's that they move by the process of force. So he is spread right out in this room, and it's really, really horrible. And I tell you what, he's got a boner with people, somebody in this pub. I'm not sure if it's you, or with your family, or with somebody else in the pub. I don't know yet. But I just feel there's this resentment that he's got.
It's with me.
It's with...
Would it be with me? Because I stayed in this room.
No, it's with me.
Let me just take a picture and see if I...
Because if you feel, he'll be behind me now.
Oh, no flash. How weird.
Because he's switched it off.
There's nothing there, but there's something over here at the moment. Right, okay, now if we're going to go back period-wise, a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be someone who goes back hundreds of years. It's not. It's somebody much more recent. And when I say recent, I'm going back maybe 50 or 70 years maximum. No more than that. Now I'm trying to lock in and it is. He's envious of you. It's that I feel this jealousy, this anger, this jealousy. But there's this resentment towards you and towards your family. That's what I'm feeling. And of course anybody else that comes in here. It's unusual. Look, when things like this happen, there's normally something that kicks it off. Now, we were discussing about your daughter as a possible source of poltergeist activity. Her presence could still be a trigger that reacts against him. I don't know. This is a difficult thing too. But let's just wander back in here. Yeah, as soon as you walk across the threshold, goes. It just completely... And this is a room that you slept in. And you had a cold sweat?
It was like a hot sweat.
Hot sweat, rather. Has anybody heard anything in this room, like people walking around or bangs or anything?
If you sit in here long enough, you hear enough bangs, but you don't know whether they're from the pub
Yeah.
or wherever they're from. You wouldn't know.
Now, I'm wondering if the resentment is triggered through your daughter, because he may have had a daughter that he lost. I don't know. Have you done any research on the history of this pub? I mean, as far as people, the licensees, and what have you come up with?
It goes back. The records show the Chamberlains were here for so many years. There's a record on the internet at the moment of many different people, victualers that used to run the pub. But there are certain stories of a man, such as you say, however a little bit bigger than what you say.
Yeah, well, this guy I've got, he's got a big, like, when I say Albert Steptoe, the personality, physically, I've got him as almost like a bow front. You know, they call him pigeon-chested. A very big bloke with a really heavy chest, very stocky. And age-wise, not as old as Albert Steptoe, I'd probably put him around 50. But he's somebody who was here, and he's someone who had a lot of pride in what he did here. But it all went wrong for some reason. I don't know why, but this is what I'm feeling. But you were saying. But have you come across any kind of tragedy here at all?
Yeah, there may be a tragedy linked to this man, yes.
Could you tell me what it is? If I'm this far down the road, it might help.
We believe from the other mediums that have come here that the little girl was hurt here. We don't know how bad it was, but the little girl had fallen. The other medium that came here, the clairvoyant, went into the room and felt that door had been locked and she'd been shut in that room. The man,
yeah,
who, for whatever reason, has got problems with me, realises that I'm not too bothered about him, so there's not a lot he can do.
Can I ask you a question about that door? When
Well,
you-
the only thing I'm saying here is that this is a fairly modern panel. I mean, this could have been one room originally.
It probably was years ago.
And if you look over here, if you're looking for corners, can you see how the skirting board stops there? I think there were two rooms here. I think that room in there was probably part of this one. And that this is a dummy wall that's been put in. But without going, the only way you'd find out is if you came across original photographs. But over the years, they did altar pubs around to accommodate for families or whoever.
Of course, yes.
So it could be the resentment then, could be a trigger. With regard to your daughter and to the loss of his own daughter, or to something which happened to his daughter through his own cruelty, we don't know.
No.
What I'm going to do, I mean, at this moment, is we'll wait until it gets a bit quieter.
Is
And
there a
then
certain reason why it feels cold in the middle of the room when you walk through? Just like here. It feels cold.
you've got a cold spot.
No, I just feel a little bit cold.
Well, that could be simply
Actually-
because of the window.
Windows open.
Oh, I don't see that. Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll
Sorry,
leave you
Steve.
to have a look around Jack, with the leisure. You know where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let me just.
Go on. Go on.
There's quite a bit of history attached to this pub. I mean, obviously it goes back centuries, and I've discussed with Dean what I'm actually feeling, but there's still some pieces that aren't, it's like a jigsaw, and there's one or two pieces that aren't fitting properly at the moment. And so what we're hoping is that once the lights go down and the pub is cleared, we may be able to find out a little bit more about this character and about this alleged connection with the little girl. I do think there is a connection with the little girl, but she is not somebody that I'm feeling in here at the moment. So it really is a cold call for me and for Sean, who's on the camera. And so tonight we're hoping that we're going to be able to make some sense of this, and of course, more importantly, be able to show this as some kind of anomaly on camera. Well, the time is now midnight. We're at the Green Man pub in Gosfield. There are still some regulars downstairs in the bar, and there's music playing. We're hoping that the pub might clear by midnight, but what we're going to do, we're in what we consider to be the most affected rooms, which appears to be a former master bedroom with an ensuite bedroom and a small bathroom. So we're actually going to we're going to spread out between both rooms, probably going to do about half an hour here. With us tonight is obviously Sean on the camcorder.
Howdy.
And Sean's girlfriend, Louise. So what do you think of this, Louise?
I don't know, it's my first time.
Are you interested in the paranormal?
Very interested,
So
fascinated by
you
it.
might see something.
I hope so.
Right, okay, we're going to crack on, and if we do pick anything up, of course, you'll be the first to know. And know that, it is very strong coming from it's a bathroom.
I can feel them from here.
Yeah. God, I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. Oh. Could you make a noise, please? Did you hear that? Hello?
I heard something. I didn't know if it was a tap.
I'm just going to take some pictures. Please don't be angry.
Jesus.
Oh no, he's in the bathroom.
You don't want us going in there.
Keep the camera on that door, Louise, where Sean is, and then see if anything comes through. Oh, I just feel a bit nauseous in here.
Come on, knock that seat down or something. Well, I reckon this is definitely where he hides out in this bathroom, because even though he's not showing himself, as you come in here, almost. What was that?
No, I think that was downstairs.
Was it?
Yeah. I heard that, like a tap.
Yeah. Now when I'm standing here, I can still hear them talking down the bar. So if we think there's EVP on there, unless it's really clear, it's them lot.
So what I'm going to do is shut this door to reduce the noise pollution, if it's possible. The latch in, it's totally like stuck. Let me see here. His voice goes right through the building, doesn't it?
Keep looking out there just in case I see something.
Well, I haven't seen anything on camera yet. There is energy in. I can see it. I just see like little yellow flashes going up. Yeah, got an orb there. Yeah, I'm absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Yep. The energy is up there.
What, over this side?
Yeah, it's on the corner, but it moves around. I can't work with this noise downstairs. It's just too much. Well, anyway, that's as far as I can go with this tonight. We've done our level best. I'm very grateful to Sean and to Louise. And Louise, you've never been on one before. This is the first time you've been out, but even so, have you enjoyed yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And did you actually see anything at all on camera?
No.
Did you feel anything?
No.
Well, you never know what might happen in the future.
Maybe next
But
time.
thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.
And thanks to you as well, Sean. And
Live long and prosper.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Right, till next time.
Okay, the first thing that came out of that, the most obvious, is the cat EVP. Now, I've had people come to me, speak to me with regard to my camcorders, suggesting that perhaps my camcorder has a defective motor. Well, we have in this group over 10 camcorders, of which maybe 3 or 4 are used on a circuit basis at any one time. And the camcorder that was used on the shoot in Gosfield, believe it or not, has not been a camcorder that I've used shooting in my house where we've captured cat EVP. Now, obviously, the point of concern about the motor being defective is clearly not an issue here, because that EVP has been captured on a range of different camcorders. The fact that the cat EVP appeared in the pub is an interesting point. I spoke to Louise, the camera woman, on the night, and she told me that I believe she's got 2 cats which are in spirit, so perhaps it may have been one of them that had followed her to the pub, or alternatively, of course, there may well have been a cat in residence there in spirit in any case. But either way, it was still an interesting experience. With regard to the poltergeist activity, I can't verify any of the claims that have been made. Unfortunately, there was a lot of noise downstairs, so we weren't able to complete the full length of the investigation as I would have preferred. And from my point of view, for sure, in future, unless the premises are actually shut down, there is absolutely no way on this planet that I will ever investigate a pub, because the biggest problem with pub investigations is alcohol, and if people have been drinking, it completely and utterly ruins the experience. But even so, it was still very interesting, and I, should we say, will sit on the fence with regard to that particular visit. Moving on now, we're coming into the month of June, or Flaming June, as people like to think that it is, but it isn't. And I'm hoping at least in June the weather will improve just a little bit more to give us more opportunities of going out and investigating the paranormal. No house investigations this month, no readers' letters. We simply do not have the space on this particular broadcast. So until next month, I wish you all the very best. Have a great time, and I'll certainly see you all on Facebook and also on the blog. Until then, take care. Goodbye.